Alright, so today we're going to be talking about ionic and covalent bonds, okay? So let me first give us, the really infantile explanation. If I have an ionic bond, like let's say between sodium and fluorine, sodium is going to have one electron that comes into the bond, fluorine is going to have one electron that comes into the bond, and then fluorine is going to steal both of them, okay? They both put one electron into the bond, and fluorine takes both back. An ionic bond is when one atom steals the electrons from the other, and basically one atom gains a positive charge and one atom gains a negative charge, okay? That's an ionic bond, okay? A covalent bond, let's say between a carbon atom and a hydrogen atom, is a bond where the carbon atom puts one electron into the bond, the hydrogen atom puts one electron into the bond, and then they share these two electrons, okay? The two electrons spend some time near the carbons, they spend some time near the hydrogen. The key difference between these two is when you make an ionic bond, you have one atom that's going to be really, really happy if it steals an extra electron, and you're going to have one atom that's also going to be happy if it loses an electron, okay? When you make a covalent bond, you need two atoms that would both be happy by gaining more electrons, okay? So what you'll notice is that these atoms that would be very happy stealing electrons would also be very happy sharing electrons because their goal is to gain more electrons, okay? Meanwhile, these atoms that would be happy losing electrons would not be happy in covalent bonds, okay? What I'm trying to point out to you is that carbon can make a covalent bond with fluorine, but carbon is going to make an ionic bond with sodium, okay? So let's go through some general ideas and some general rules about how we identify ionic and covalent bonds, and I'm also going to go into this idea of polar covalent bonds, okay, because that's sort of something in between. So when we look at ionic bonds are formed between a metal and a non-metal, okay? When I say metal, I specifically mean the alkali and alkaline metals. If you don't know what those words mean, the group 1 and group 2 metals. If you don't know what those words mean, the metals that are in the first two columns all the way on the left of your periodic table. Okay, if there's a picture of the periodic table right here, it's all the metals in the first two columns with the exception of hydrogen up there in the top left corner. Okay, hydrogen's not part of this list. Those first two columns are your electron donors, okay, in your ionic bond. They want to give up their electrons. So that's going to be the atom that gains the positive charge in the ionic bond, okay? And the nonmetals, if you look at this picture of the periodic table, they are going to be everything above the metalloid line, okay? Generally the top right-ish corner of your periodic table. It kind of looks like a triangle, okay? You're generally going to be looking at things in the top two rows, the two rows below hydrogen and helium. And so everything to the right of aluminum is going to be a nonmetal. Covalent bonds are going to form between two nonmetals, okay? Polar covalent bonds are again going to form between two nonmetals, but they need to have a difference in electronegativity of at least 0.5, okay? So carbon has an electronegativity of 2.5, hydrogen has an electronegativity of 2.1, I think. So if you have a carbon-hydrogen bond, hydrogen is a nonmetal, let me specify that, and carbon is a nonmetal, and the difference in their electronegativities is 0.4. It's not greater than or equal to 0.5, which means we're going to call the carbon-hydrogen bond a nonpolar covalent. Meanwhile, if I have a carbon-fluorine, I think I said carbon was 2.5, I think fluorine is somewhere around 4.0, that would be a difference in 1.5 electronegativity units. So this would be a polar covalent bond between two nonmetals. All right, let's just run through some practice real quick so we can practice identifying the three types: ionic, covalent, polar covalent. All right, I've got sodium oxide. Sodium is a group 1 metal, so I know this is an ionic compound, okay? And oxygen is a nonmetal. Next, let me try CCl4, okay? So we're talking about a carbon-chlorine bond here. Carbon has an electronegativity of 2.5. Chlorine is, I don't know the exact value, it's somewhere greater than 3. So it's going to be a polar covalent, okay? Let's try the oxygen-oxygen bond. This is going to be O2, okay? This is two atoms of the exact same electronegativity because they're the same atom. So this is just going to be a normal covalent bond. Oxygens are nonmetals, so they are going to form covalent bonds. Next, let's take a look at methane, CH4s. This is going to be the CH bond. Like I said before, carbon has an electronegativity around 2.5, hydrogen electronegativity around 2.1. So this is going to be a nonpolar between two nonmetals. So this is just a regular old covalent. And finally, let's take a look at water, H2O. You got the OH bond here. Hydrogen electronegativity around 2.1, oxygen electronegativity around 3. So that's greater than 0.5. So we're in a polar. Hydrogen and oxygen are both nonmetals. This is a covalent. Okay. Anyway, if you have learned something valuable, go leave a like. Otherwise, if you need extra help, go to meekextrahelp.com or join the Discord server. Have a fantastic day. Enjoy life.